Hi everyone, welcome to my latest video. Apologies for there's been a bit of time between posting the video, just a couple of family issues to deal with, which is behind me now. So on with it, let's just get on with it. So just introducing you to this lovely Art Deco round drink cabinet, 1930s mahogany veneer with a curved door. Beautiful vintage cocktail storage. This is the top, which you can see is rather a mess. It's a veneer with lots of splits in the mahogany veneer, which are going to need some attention. This is the luxurious curved door, just divine. Some more damage, just pointing out bits and pieces, some clouding in the veneer as well as the splits. And all in all, got my work cut out for me on this one. And I'm really looking forward to just hooking in and getting on with it. There is a key. I've tucked it away for safety. So let's get on with it. So I'm going to start with fixing as much as I can on the top using my favourite wood glue type bond. And what I'm going to be focusing on is any bits of the veneer that are still intact actually, but are not sticking down. So I'm using my screwdriver there to demonstrate, or just to lift it up actually, so that I can actually then use the paintbrush to pop some glue underneath. So anywhere where there's a little bit of lift, I'm going to re-glue that back down as my starting point. So that's what I'm going to get on with. So just gently lifting the veneer that's already loose with my screwdriver, and then just using a paintbrush, a skinny little artist's brush, pushing that wood glue underneath there. Some people like to use syringes full of wood glue, which I actually do have, but I find them inflexible and a bit stiff, and sometimes I do use them. They're appropriate for some things, but with this one I want to curl it underneath. So the artist's brush works well. And just here, I'm just flattening out what I've just glued down with a little bit of timber wrapped in packing tape. So wood glue won't stick to packing tape, pro tip there, and putting a weight on it and clamping it up for the night. I'm going to show you what I just did. So I've put the weight, there's my little thing that's on top of the thing with packing tape on it. There's my 7 kilos of weight. But I've just put a little wooden strap underneath because I had to use a skinny one to get under there, and I've just clamped down extra pressure just to really push down on that glue with 2 clamps, 2 huge clamps, but you know, that's all right. And I've just counterbalanced. I put this on the other side of it just to counterbalance so that doesn't tip. There's a lot of weight on that side. Rightio. I'm happy with that for the night. So it's going to sleep for the night. So I have literally just off camera cut the shape that I'm trying to fill on the table, the veneer hole, with a piece of veneer that's the closest match that I have to the veneer on the table. And I'm about to glue it down, glue and clamp, and see how we go. But it really is that simple. Veneer is a piece of, it is a sliver, I think is the word, of real wood. And real wood and veneer are both wood, therefore wood glue will respond to veneer as well as it would to wood, because they're both wood. That makes sense. Some people aren't quite sure of that bit. And I've just used a piece of paper template here to cut out my piece of veneer. Nice and simple, really. Okay, so it's the next day, and I'm just going to take off all these weights and have a bit of a look. And I'll speed that up for you because you don't need to watch me do that. So now I'm just going to give it a light sand, a very light sand. I've taken all the bits and bobs off and it's dried. I'm using a 180 grit very fine sandpaper. And when I put when I contact the tabletop, I'm really pulling up. I'm not pushing down at all, just to keep it very light on. The veneer patches that I put on are higher level or raised or thicker than the veneer itself that's actually on the table. So I've got a little bit of sanding to do to get them even. So now I'm going to add some putty in all the gaps. So where I've put patches, there are some gaps remaining all over it, all in various parts. And just to make it all even, I'll apply that wood filler or wood putty to all of those spots. Leave that to dry overnight, probably now, and then give that another light sand tomorrow. What a mess. But actually, there was just some little hairline cracks all over it. I just needed the wood filler around it. And remembering veneer, which is what this is wood. So wood filler will work in veneer. Although patching it in the big pieces, which I've done there. Now I want to show you this too, because you'll notice that is something I don't have. That's the closest match I've got. Oh, there, let me just zoom out. There, that's better. That's stripy that way, and that's, anyway, it's the closest match I've got. We're going to make it work. We'll look at it later on, but first of all we'll just get the veneer patched. So I'm going to let that dry until probably tomorrow. So while I'm waiting for the tabletop to dry with the wood putty, I'm moving on to the door. So this beautiful, stunning curved door is in pretty good condition actually, and I almost don't think I need to do any veneer repairs to it at all, but it does need to be lightly sanded back, so I'm still using my 180 grit. So just back to some hand sanding now. What I'm trying to do now, I'm moving on to the inside of the little bar cabinet, and what I want to do now is remove the shelf that I've got, the mid shelf there. All it is nailed on, so there's nails on the outside, which is sort of typical of that era. So I'm just wanting to take that out because I want to sand it all and make it pretty. So I'm trying to work out how to just dislodge those nails. Time to take the feet off. I basically just want to disassemble as much of it as I can to get the best clean sand and refinish out of it that I can. So the feet are coming off. I'm just pulling out. They're just nailed on. I'll be screwing them back in. And now just sanding that little table that I removed and giving it a good clean up, puttying if need be. Pretty straightforward. The table, as you can see from clearly in the camera, is quite stained, so I'm going to give it a treatment with oxalic acid. For any of you that are new, oxalic acid is available online or from your hardware store. It sounds awful, acid. It's actually quite harmless. It's really good at actually removing stains from wood, particularly iron-based, water-based or rust-based stains. And that's what I'm giving this a treatment with. So I'll be leaving that oxalic acid overnight to dry, and come back and we'll have a look at it later on to see how the oxalic acid did. So moving over to the body, the veneer on the body is quite thick because it's not a high traffic area. So I'm using an electric sander just to move that along. With the glue, there's a split there, so I'm going to run some glue through that and clamp that. And there's also some lift on the veneer, which is near the very top. I'm just going to glue all that down and then I might call it a night so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just opening up that split that's in the side of the door with a screwdriver just so I can wedge some glue in there. I'm just checking to make sure I've put record on the camera. I'm just literally going to pour it in the hole. The screwdriver's opened the hole up nicely. I'm just going to wedge that shut, squash it in, make sure it all goes in. So now that that's all clamped up, I'm just going to glue down those little bits of veneer at the top where the tabletop sits on top, just so that there's no loose flappy bits. Clamp. It's pretty much done. I'm not going to bore you with watching me sand the 4 feet, but suffice to say I've sanded the 4 feet, ready for staining as well. So when I was taking one of the legs off, a little bit of wood came away, so I'm going to repair that. So a little bit of wood putty later, and I'm just finessing it just to make sure it's all the way in there. Okay, glued and pretty much done. I broke it into 2 parts accidentally, but they fit perfectly. A piece of wood to squash it with some packing tape on it so the glue doesn't stick to the packing tape. Because it's in super speed time, it looks like I'm doing it really rough, but actually I'm really pulling back on the sandpaper, fine grit, and all I'm really interested in doing is smoothing out the wood filler and making it all nice and even, ready for stain. And this is the top bit. So this is the bit that's concerned me the most, needed the most patching, and also is probably the most trafficked area of the lot. So we'll still see. I just want to show you what I've been doing close up. Make sure you can see it from over there on that camera. So this ghosting is just a residual glue and varnish that's almost off. Now, here's that patch that I did. Now, if you look close up here, you'll see that the veneer has this little circle in the middle, and then it's got beams, like sunbeams, like a sunshine, coming out of it. And here, my patchwork interrupts that terribly. That's okay, because we're going to fix it. How? I'm not sure yet, but we will. And just there, I don't know why I missed that the first time, but I'm going to be putting some filler in that in a minute when I finished the rest of that. So I just wanted you to see close up what I was doing. Just applying a bit of wood putty to that split that I just showed you before. Easy done. So sanding that bottom shelf now, and also where the wood putty went into that bit that came out, making sure it's all nice and smooth. Getting towards the end now. I would have liked to have taken that bottom shelf out, and I did try to figure it out, but I decided to leave it alone. I couldn't figure out a way to get it out safely. So I've left it in there, so sanding within it. Tricky. So in being as thorough as I can, I want to do the underside as well, where the feet go. So I'm just going to pop it on a stool. You'll see the markings where the feet were. I'm just going to give that a bit of a sand. Not a particularly, amazing sand, just a quick one, just to take off any old glue or any old rough bits. So just sanding the inside of the main body now, which also needs attention. But I've shown you so much sanding. I think you pretty much know I know how to sand. So I'm just going to pause that one and just let you imagine it. So on the home stretch now, we're down to almost pretty much staining now. So I'm giving this tabletop, this is the most trafficked area of the whole unit, a final fine grit sand with 600 grit sandpaper before staining. Sorry, I've done the veneer patch repair, but I haven't actually made it look in keeping with the rest of the tabletop. So what I'd like to do first is, before I address that, is actually stain it first and then reassess after that. So that's what I'm actually going to do. And then see how it looks. So bear in mind, I'm not an artist. My daughter is. She's fantastic, and I might even get her to have a look at this later on. What I'm trying to do is blend in the repairs, the patch repairs, so that it looks in keeping with the rest of it to the best that I can. Let me show you what I'm trying to achieve. So this is my Art Deco bar, and the shelf originally was there, and I'm putting it back on. Now all that was holding it up before were a couple of nails, which isn't really strong enough. So even though I'm restoring this, I want to make sure that if somebody wants to put some bottles on here, some spirit bottles or something, I want to make sure it will hold. So I have done, I hope it's enough, it might not be, 3 little hinges, which you just saw me do, with the view of having those 3 hinges hopefully attached to there, and then I can lock those in place with the screw, little black screw, which is going to have to be on the outside. But if you see, they're the nail holes, and once that's all done, I can then fill those nail holes with a little bit of, I know I've already stained it, but there you go, that's me, backwards before and forwards. I can fill those little nail holes with a little bit of putty, or I can leave them, whatever, we'll see. But we will have 3 little screws sitting on the outside, because that is what I'm going through, and that is too thin. A little bit of veneer and a little bit of what looks like some sort of old-fashioned whatever, MDF, whatever they used to use back in the days, is too thin for me to countersink a hole there. Well, not confidently anyway. So it's going to have to be 3 nails on the outside, which before it was nails. So we'll see. Unbelievable how long this actually took me. And because we're already at 20 minutes or so, I thought I'd better speed through this one for you. So the shelf's attached in this clip really fast, but actually it probably took me a good hour and a half. It's on. On the home run now. Final stain on the body. Final stain on everything, actually. So before I close, so this is the last clip before the final reveal of what it looked like in the end. Hopefully you'll remember what it looked like in the beginning, a whole 23 minutes ago. But thank you, before I do go to the final reveal and I do finish while I'm staining here, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you for any of you that do subscribe. Thank you for thumbs ups. Thank you for comments, and just thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you.